Welcome, everyone. We're just going to give people a few more minutes to file in, and then we will get started soon. All right, I think that might be all we're getting today. So we will go ahead and begin. Good afternoon and welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending the second session of the 2024 FPP training session. My name is Tom Brandenstein, and I'm an associate with White House Group. Today, I, along with my colleague Aaron Lasala from Cambridge Systematics, will be covering the basics of the MPOAC's Freight Priorities Program and the practical knowledge needed to submit your agency's freight projects to the program. The program is entering its 7th year now, but we know from our registration survey that some of you are newer to the program, so we'll be covering the basics that you need to know, and some of the material will be review for the veterans of the program. Nope. We do want to encourage participation throughout the presentation. There's 2 ways for you to chime in at any time. If you have a question, you can use the raise hand feature and our meeting host will unmute you and you can go ahead and verbally voice your question, or you can go ahead and type your question into the chat function and we can read it here and answer it through there as well. The presentation will be recorded and posted to the Freight Priorities Program portal website following the presentation, so you can come back and review any sections that you need to during the actual submittal process of your projects. So we have a full agenda today, so we'll try to keep us moving through our allotted 1-hour session. The first half of the training will cover general information on the program, the resulting project list end product that we create as a result of the program, and some statistics on the program's past performance. Then in the second half, we will cover the practical aspects of submitting a project application, including the online application portal and the support materials made available to you during the submittal process. Erin then will take us through a live demonstration of the application portal, and she'll get into some of the specifics that you'll see contained within the application itself. We will finish off with the schedule moving forward and any other remaining questions that you have. So there are 5 main goals that we hope to accomplish during this training today. And those are, we hope that you understand the purpose and process of the Freight Priorities Program. You're comfortable with the project eligibility of the projects accepted into the program. You know how to submit online applications via the FPP web portal. And you also understand what assistance is available if you become stuck at any time during the process. And also, finally, the important dates of the program so you meet those deadlines that are set. So there are 3 basic outcomes that we hope to accomplish with the Freight Priorities Program. These are provide MPOs with an opportunity to identify high priority freight projects on an annual basis, use the MPOAC as a united voice to promote these MPO priorities, and also to position projects for future funding opportunities. And then we will look at each of these a little closer to see some of the benefits that result from them. The first one, to provide MPOs with an opportunity to identify high priority freight projects on an annual basis. In preparation for project submittals to the program, MPOs will first need to identify their most pressing freight needs in their region. Agencies will then prioritize the projects that address those needs for submittal to the program. And the annual cycle of the program allows for any recent changes to be taken effect in your region, and submittals can change on a yearly basis. The program uses a strength in numbers approach and gives all MPOs in the state a chance to participate and submit projects to the list. The project list is then endorsed by 3 separate committees within the statewide body of the MPOAC, ensuring that projects have met the requirements set by the Freight and Rail Committee. And finally, the project list is then transmitted to FDOT leadership through the MPOAC Executive Director. The ultimate goal is then to see the projects on the list receive or advance funding needs. The program does not directly fund any projects, but it does position them for increased chances for funding. FDOT considers the list during its internal prioritization processes. One of the ways to position projects for these funding opportunities is through identifying projects' network designations. We specifically highlight on the list projects on the state highway system, strategic intermodal system, and also the National Highway Freight Network, so FDOT can easily identify which projects are eligible for which different funding programs. Outside of FDOT's processes, the list can also be used to be used in grant applications for federal discretionary funds. We've also often seen that the list can be attached to a grant application as an additional attachment and mentioned within the project narrative to kind of boost and show its important, the project's importance on a statewide level in the grant application. So there were no major adjustments made to the FPP process for 2024 and follows a similar process as was done in 2023. There are 5 main components within the FPP process. First, MPOs choose the projects they would like to submit. 6 submissions are allowed per MPO, and this is further broken down into a max of 3 state highway system roadway projects and 3 non-state highway system roadway projects. And we'll cover the eligibility for each of these different categories in later slides. Once the projects have been chosen, each project needs an application submitted on the online portal website. The portal is a custom website developed with Ronnie Bunner at Service Edge Solutions that will handle application creation, application reviews, and serve as a central location for all the program guidance documentation that we provide. Once applications are submitted, they will be reviewed by the consultant team, myself and Aaron. Follow-up questions may be needed, so make sure you are available until you have received final confirmation your projects have been accepted. When the project submission window closes, the consultant team will offload all project data and create the project list. Prior to the April meeting, a draft project list will be sent out to all participating MPOs to confirm the information included in the list is accurate. Finally, the finished project list will be presented to the MPOAC for endorsement. The endorsed list will then be sent to FDOT, aligning with their annual work program update. Any questions on this process before we move to the next slide? All right. So, as mentioned in the previous slide, eligible projects are broken down into two categories: state highway system roadway projects and non-state highway system roadway projects. State highway system roadway projects have been included in all 7 years of the Freight Priorities Program. In 2002, the committee voted to expand the program after feedback was communicated that some agencies' highest freight priorities did not fall on the state highway system. So that's why you're seeing that breakdown between the two different categories. These new project types are included within the non-state highway system category. The state highway system roadway category, roadway projects must be located on the state highway system roadway. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, you're allowed a 3 submittal maximum of these types of projects. And the Freight and Rail Committee has also set a requirement that the project has to have its PD&E at least funded in a plan to be eligible. And also the project must be able to accept accelerated funding. The non-state highway system roadway category includes 4 different project types. These include non-state highway system roadways, intermodal logistics center access projects, truck parking projects, and rail freight projects. If the project requires a PD&E, this category also requires that it is at least funded. And as with the state highway system roadway category, these projects should also be able to accept accelerated funding. These also have a 3 maximum of submittals per cycle. It looks like we have a question. The question is a priority to request funding for right-of-way eligible? Any funding request following the P&E process is eligible to be a request. Yes. Right. So moving on, in the project applications, both of the categories are very similar. We do ask for a little more information to be provided for the state highway system projects, but other than that, they are pretty much identical applications. Next. So here we have listed the 4 different parties that come together to make the Freight Priorities Program a success. Each group has its own role in the process. MPOs are mainly responsible for submitting project applications, using the project list to advocate for their projects, and providing program feedback. Program feedback is an essential component so that we can make the program as easy as possible and useful for MPOs to increase the program participation. The more participation statewide we get, demonstrates the program's worth at FDOT and will increase its influence on funding decisions. The consultant team administers the program, creates the project list, and implements any program changes that come about from the feedback. The MPOAC serves as the uniting body and single voice of the program, and FDOT is the one who considers the list when making their funding decisions. So now we will take a look at an example from last year's project list. This is a portion of the actual project list that we do create as a result of the projects submitted to the program. The project list breaks down sections by district, by FDOT district. making it easier for the district freight coordinators to be able to locate the projects that apply to them. In this example, we are using District 3, but if you would like to see the complete list from last year, it is available on the MPOAC website within the Freight and Rail Committee's section. The list highlights some of those components we were talking about earlier with the network designations. So those can quickly be identified and see which projects are eligible for which funding programs. And also we do highlight FDOT's identifying information, including their FM number, so that can easily be identified by anyone looking at the list and that project can be found. In addition to the list sections, we also include a statewide map of all the projects that were submitted for the year, as well as district level maps that include some of those networks that we just talked about. As you can see on the map on the right, you can see the National Highway Freight Network and the SIS facilities highlighted within the map. And in the left side map, you can see the 37 projects that were submitted to last year's list. And as I said, if you want to see the entire list from 2023, visit the MPOAC website and you can see the list in its entirety. So this slide then shows some of the submission trends that the program has seen over the years. Last year, we had 37 projects submitted to the program. The majority of the submissions were the state highway system roadway projects. And then we had 6 in the other non-state highway system roadway project category. Those broke down further into 4 truck parking projects and 2 non-state highway system roadway projects. Submittals of projects eligible for Federal National Highway Freight Program have increased over the course of the program, while the submittals eligible for the SIS network designation have remained relatively consistent since the initial year. And then project submissions remain relatively consistent in between 30 and 40 submissions over the past 6 years, with last year being tied with the most submissions since the initial year of the program. For the past 3 years, FDOT has provided us with a snapshot of National Highway Freight Program funding amounts for projects submitted to each year's list as they appear prior to the January MPOAC meeting. Note that some of these amounts still may be pending approvals, so they are not finalized. 10 projects from the 2023 FPP project list were identified by FDOT with National Highway Freight Program funding at the time. But the National Highway Freight Program is not the only funding source that we do try to influence with the project list, but it is one that we've gotten some consistent feedback from FDOT on, so we do include this. With that, as saying that is one of the few programs that we have been able to do some tracking with FPP projects, the committee has asked for more demonstrated success of the program. And to accomplish that, we are going to be instituting a program review in the future. This was recently, the framework for this program review was recently approved at the January MPOAC meeting. And it will attempt to measure the effectiveness of the program and answer some of the questions that you see on the right. The program review will look at the FPP from a program administration and also a program performance perspective. And some of the impacts that we are hoping to accomplish with this program review is to increase participation in the program, promote the list better to FDOT annually, increase the number of projects submitted that are funded or have funding advanced, and also to try and demonstrate a linkage between funding decisions and their inclusion on the list. And ultimately to improve collaboration between MPOs and FDOT. So with that being said, now we will move into some of the guidance documents that are going to be available for you for this cycle. We will start with the instructions document. This is going to be your first source for help. The instructions give you a brief overview of the program and also all your important dates. Then the instructions go into a more detailed list of each specific question that is included on the applications, and it also lists out the type of answer that we are requesting. So if you're a little confused on what exactly you should put for any of the questions included on the application, this would be your source to go to first and see what exactly type of data we are looking for. After that, you are welcome to contact myself or Aaron, and we would be able to help you further. Oh, and this document will be available on the Freight Priorities Program portal homepage, as well as the other two documents that I will be going over. The second document that we provide is a District Freight Coordinator checklist. This was developed to help facilitate conversations with your District Freight Coordinator as you are preparing applications. The district freight coordinators have a strong knowledge of FDOT's work program scoring criteria and which projects are good contenders for discretionary grants, and also the projects that they are going to submit for their district priority list. We encouraged collaboration between the MPOs and the DFCs to inform your decision making, but we do not want to have district freight coordinators selecting projects for you. These should be your projects that you believe are your highest priority. The final document we have is a feedback form. It allows anyone to provide feedback on the overall program, the online portal, or any of the individual questions that we include within the project applications. Feedback is what has shaped the program into what it is today. So hearing any pain points from you as participants can help us make a better and more influential program. Once you have completed a form, you can send it directly to myself or to Aaron. And I just want to reiterate that all of these support documents and feedback forms are available on the portal website. So that is where you will find these specific documents. So any questions on the guidance provided? All right. So now we will move into the actual Freight Priorities Program online application portal. On the upper right, you can see the web address that this portal is located at. And once you follow that link, it will take you to this home page that you see in front of you. And the welcome page is publicly accessible, so anyone can go to this page, regardless if they have a actual login or not. And like I mentioned, all the FPP support documents and training presentations will be available for you here to view or to download. And also on the right, you see the technical assistance section that contains myself and Aaron's contact information. So if any questions come up that regard the program or project applications, they should be directed to me or Aaron. And any technical issues with the website, if you have anything go wrong during the submittal process, something's not saving correctly, that you'll want to follow the report website issues at the bottom, and that will be forwarded to Rodney Bunner at Service Edge Solutions, who can get in there and take a look at see what's going wrong. Finally, the last two buttons that you see on the welcome page are the sign-ins. You either have it in the top right corner or in the center in the green button, the MPO sign-in. And these are where you would actually go to sign into your individualized MPO account. So from there, you would use the drop-down menu to select your agency, and then you would enter your agency's unique password. Each agency has its own password, and these change on an annual basis. The unique passwords will be sent out to your agency's designated contact and your agency's executive director on February 23rd, so tomorrow. And once you receive this, you'll be able to log into your specific MPO's page. And once you can get into your own MPO page, this is the landing page that it will bring you to. From this page, you'll be able to create, edit, and delete project applications. Applications from previous years will already be pre-populated with the data that you used last year, and they will be loaded into your application list. You can use the Create FPP Application button located on the right-hand side in the middle of the page to create a new application. As you can see, applications are broken into three-step process, which Aaron will cover more in depth during the live demonstration. But this page will allow you to see at which step each application is currently in. Applications do not need to be completed in one session. They could be saved and continued at a later date and by multiple different users. Once a project has made it through the 3 steps, you can hit submit and the button will change to complete. A project has not been submitted if all 3 steps are complete. You have to actually hit the submit button to submit it into the program for consideration and to have a review completed. There is also a project filter seen on the right-hand side over here. And this will allow you to filter your project list by several different categories, including the 2 different project type categories. And finally, at the top of the page, you will see multiple tabs. The instructions kind of give you a brief overview of what is being asked of you to complete a project application and also some of the important dates that you need to remember. The training materials will link you to those guidance documents that we covered earlier. The review key tab is going to let you know what each of the colors you're seeing means. The blue here that's first listed lets you know that input is still required for that step to be advanced. Gray lets you know that a review is in process for that particular application. The green means a review has been completed and it's able to go to the next step. You can see this project here has 2 of its steps completed and it's on the 3rd. Red means a review has been completed, but some additional information is needed before it can be accepted into the program. And yellow means a step is not available. So you can see on all the other project applications, step 2 and 3 are colored yellow, and they still need the input for step 1 to be completed before they are advanced to step 2. And the final button we will cover on the application page is the Manage button. The Manage button is new for 2024, and the Manage button allows 3 different actions to be completed, as you'll see on the right-hand side. So once you click that Manage button, this drop-down will pop up, and the first one is it will allow you to see any of the review feedback that myself or Aaron has provided for an application that has been submitted. So that option will only come back if you submit an application. You also have the opportunity to remove an application. So you can delete any applications that you start by clicking that Remove FPP application. And finally, once you have completed an application, it has gone through review and has been accepted into the program, you can hit this Summary Report button and you will download a PDF version of your application that you can save for your records. So the unique agency login passwords that will be sent to each agency's executive director and designated contacts on February 23rd is also to mention February 23rd is the day that the application will open. So once you receive these passwords, you'll be able to log in and start your application development. Designated contacts will also receive any portal-generated communications, including submission confirmations and any application feedback that myself or Aaron sends for an application. These contacts can be changed by emailing me directly, and we can allow up to 5 total recipients to be included within the designated contacts per agency. So if you want multiple people to receive those confirmations or to receive that review feedback, just let myself or Aaron know and we can add those to the portal so they will also receive those communications. And based on agency feedback from last year, If you are expecting a portal email and did not receive one, we advise you to check your spam folder. Some of the spam filters at some agencies did not like the auto-generated emails, so they sent them to the spam folder. So if you expect something, that's your first place to check. But if you do have any questions following that, you can email myself or Aaron directly, and we can investigate anything if you're expecting some sort of portal communication. So this is our list of all our current designated contacts. So this list will be receiving those unique agency passwords tomorrow, and those are going to be sent from Mark Reichert, the executive director of the MPOAC. So you can expect those tomorrow morning. And as I said, if you want any additional people to be receiving those communications that you don't see on this list, just let myself know, and we can add you to the list. So all applications that are submitted do go through a review process. As I said, myself and Aaron do conduct those reviews. The process is mainly just to verify that all the answers satisfy each question. We're not really looking to try and deny any projects entry into the program. We just need to make sure that they do meet all the stipulations voted on by the committee that we covered earlier in the project eligibility section. Also, verifications are set in place within the application, so it will ensure completeness of the application, so you can't skip any questions and move on before all questions are answered. If more information is required, comments will be sent back referencing which question ID that we need more information added to. And the review comments will be sent out via email to those designated contacts and will also be viewable within the application portal itself. The MPOAC feedback button is located within the project applications, and you could view any of that review feedback that we sent directly within the application as you're making your changes. So I will highlight a couple questions here before Aaron goes full in depth to the larger applications. We're going to first highlight question 1S, 1N here. This is from step 2 of the application process. This question is the same as last year, but we did want to mention that we added 3 new project type categories to the drop-down list that you can select from. These include truck parking, grade separation, and bridge project types. These were common types of projects that we were seeing added into the other category. So we went ahead and just added them directly into the selection list. So you do have those options now to select for that particular question. And then the other question we want to highlight, no changes really to this question from last year. But this is a question that we require for the state highway system roadway projects. We want the state highway system roadway projects to provide the funding information that appears in the most up-to-date version of the FDOT work plan. So we provide a funding table that you can enter those amounts for each year. And you can either use FDOT's 5-year work program linked here, their online database, or you can provide a URL to your other source. We just want to make sure that is the most up-to-date version of the funding table. So before I hand off to Aaron for our practical demonstration, do we have any questions on the presentation so far? We do have one question. It is, can 2 MPOs submit a joint application for a project? Logistically, how does that work? So an MPO or MPOs do have a question within step 1 of the application that Erin can highlight during her presentation. It does allow you to call out if you are partnered with any other MPOs on a specific project. So you can add in the other MPO that you are partnered with. And I think we would just want one submittal for either one of the MPO to actually only submit once instead of having two separate applications from both MPOs. But as long as you note it within that question on step 1, then we will know that it is a joint project. So thank you for your question. Okay, I think I will get rid of my share screen now. And pass it over to you, Aaron.
All right, thank you, Tom. Yep. My screen shared here. Okay, hopefully you can see the Freight Priorities Program website. So this should look familiar since you just saw this in Tom's presentation. This is the welcome page. So as you can see here, we will have some documents and training materials available on the website. These will be uploaded shortly after the session so that they are good to go for tomorrow when the website opens for you guys to start entering in your projects. We also have our emails located here. And then what you'll want to do is using either this button in the middle or up in the corner, you can sign into your account. So we'll click that button. And in the drop-down list, you will select your agency. For this one, we have a training account so that we're not messing with any of the projects that you guys have previously submitted. Let me just get the password for that. Which, as a reminder, we'll be sending out your passwords tomorrow. So this is what your page will look like once you log in. So at the top, we have some brief instructions about how to submit your projects, along with the reminder about when our application period is open for, as well as that you can submit 3 state highway system projects and 3 non-state highway system projects. This is where some of those materials will also be located so that you have easy access to them. There is the color-coded review key that Tom went over previously. So green is you're good to go. Red is you haven't completed it. Yellow, it's not available yet. So in this instance, we cannot hit the submit button for this project because we have not completed it and gotten all green boxes. And our blue boxes are where you still need to fill in some information. This is also where you'll have that information about your designated contacts that can be updated by emailing Tom. So the first thing we'll do is we'll talk about how to create a new project application. So you'll want to hit this button in the upper corner of this table. It says create application, which opens up a new window, and it's going to be completed in a series of 3 steps. So I'm going to use an example that was submitted last year. And I know Kevin's on the call, so don't call me out for making it a shorter project description than you guys entered. But this is one from Miami-Dade County that they submitted for State Route 25 and Okeechobee Boulevard. So you'll want to submit your project name, your facility name, your project category. So depending on what you pick here, it will change some of your questions that you are asked. For the most part, the distinction is the state highway system roadway projects have different questions than the remaining ones. Some of this just has to do with you might not have a number in the work program, for instance, for a truck parking project versus, you know, if it's on the state highway system, it's going to have one. Just a few different little nuances like that. But for this, we're going to be selecting that it is a state highway system roadway. The question that was asked was about other MPOs involved in the project. So for this one, we'll pretend like yes. So you'll see the list of MPOs pop up here, and you can select who all is involved. So we'll just say for some reason, Miami is coordinating with MPOs across the state for State Route 25. And here you would also say which counties are involved. So in a normal case, Miami would just be involved with Miami. So for this one, we'll say we have no private partners available. And yes, this is a district coordinator priority project. This information for your DOT district will be pre-filled. I realize we're doing a Miami project and it says District 4. That's just how the training account is set up. Yours will correspond to your appropriate districts when you log in. So with that, we'll save our information, make sure we can come back to it later and it doesn't disappear on us, and go on to step 2. Oops, I already knew the name for that one. If there is already a similar name, it will not save. So let's just change that. There we go. So that's an important reminder. If there's something that you skipped that is a required question, it will give you a warning at the top. So I'll just show you what happens here. It doesn't like that I didn't do all of these things. So it'll tell you what you need to go to and make sure that you fill that information before you can advance to the next portion. So this is the project types that we saw. We added a couple of new categories. So we'll select some of these. We'll add a brief description here. Just so that it is not angry at me. There's a question in the chat that says, how do we access our district rate coordinators list to know whether a project is on their priority list? So as Tom mentioned in his presentation, we encourage you to work with your district rate coordinators to make sure you understand what their priorities are, and that can help you inform your list. But again, we don't want them to dictate your entire list. That is just, part of the collaboration process. Their priorities are not necessarily your priorities. Let me just fill these in. Good thing there's some pre-filling on Google, so you guys don't need to watch me type. And this might be an instance where, in terms of something we might be reviewing, let's say you guys forgot to type in a couple numbers and you said that your AADT was 1. We might look at the project and be like, well, it's probably not 1. Can you go back and clarify this? And that would be something that we would look for. We do ask that you upload a map of the location. So let me go find a picture to include here. Go. As a reminder, the state highway system projects do need to have a PD&E phase. This is a question I think that has been reset, so this is something that you'll want to look out for. We do ask that you provide URLs so that we can find the information readily if someone were to go and try and see where this information is. And then for this table, as Tom mentioned, we do reset this and ask that you align it with the work program as available. And if not, then to include additional links where you may find the information. So for each individual line, you will hit edit, which opens up a new window, and you would enter in the costs for each year. And that will update the table for you, as you see here. So that is the second page of the application. And then you would hit continue to go to the third. Oh, we did not do a PD&E number. So we need to make sure we have that. Great, and now we can continue. So for this last page, what it talks about priorities and, where is this identified and other plans. So we're going to say that, yes, it's been identified as a priority. And we'll say that the FTech identified it. Here, we would ask you to input plan documents that support the project and where it's been discussed. So in order to do this, you would hit add plan document. You would put in a plan name with a website, the page number that it's located on, and a project number as applicable. And once you hit submit, It'll fill in this little table for you. And as you add more, it will add additional rows. If you have matching funding sources, you can also fill this information similarly. You click the button, add in the source, say we won a grant award for some money, and it will add that to your table. Lastly, we're looking at the priority freight network. Is it on it or not? So if we say yes, it's going to ask for which network it is on, as well as the appropriate linkage to where we can find that information. And then also, how do we align with employer transportation plan goals? Select all that apply. And then also let us know how it supports the goals. So it might be something like improving traffic flow. I am keeping these short in the interest of time for you guys, so you don't have to watch me type, but certainly the more information you can provide, the better. So once again, we'll save. We've done everything right. We filled in all our information. We can hit finish. And now it'll show up on our front page. So since I have all 3 steps done now, I can now submit my project. I can also manage my project, and I can remove it if you decide that you don't like that project at all anymore. But since we like our project, we will hit submit. And it's going to ask you basically that the information you provided is complete to the best of your knowledge. So you just hit that button and you hit agree. Ooh. Oh no. Well, this is a great example. So you can only submit 3 projects for each year. And we've apparently played a little bit too much with our training account. So it's telling me I cannot submit this project.
You can delete one of mine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, let's remove this one I made the other day. So here's another example of if you need to remove a project, we want to make sure that you don't just click a button and it goes away on accident. So it will bring up a new page, and you have to agree to remove it. Click the button. That project is now gone. So we can go back and submit our project since we now only have 2. And our project has been submitted. So that then gets sent to Tom and myself, where we will go in and make sure that you guys have completed everything, see if we have any questions. That once you have submitted it, this manage button will then, in addition to having the remove function, will have a summary report so that you can download the information that you entered. And you can also review the feedback that we provided. So if you click that button, in this example, we said we needed some more information. We said, please adjust this question and resubmit. And then you would change that information. We would go back and then we're like, okay, that looks good, approved, and you guys are done. And as a reminder, those emails letting you know about requests for additional information typically have been going to spam, so please be sure to look there. There is another question in the chat that Tom is working to answer, but the question is about, is there a list of district freight coordinators? That is available on the FDOT website, and Tom has provided a link to that. And as we mentioned, when you log in, we go back to this page, your current district contact will be located here. And I believe the FDOT website has the email addresses for those employees.
That is correct, Aaron. That link I sent, you can click on the name of the person and it will direct you to their email address.
Perfect. So that last thing I'll go over is, obviously a lot of these projects are long-term projects. You guys do a lot of work on them. There's different phases. So you may have a project that you wish to resubmit from prior years. We retain the information. If you see here, the ID numbers have different years associated with them. So that way you can go back and edit existing applications so you don't need to resubmit all of the information all over again. So if we look at something like this, we're like, okay, that's good. It's still this interchange project. It's still in the state highway system. Don't really need to update a lot of information here. The one that you'll probably be looking out for some of the larger changes are going to be perhaps updating your traffic information. You can see this example used 2018 traffic. It's 6 years later. So maybe we want to throw in some more numbers there. We also, as a reminder, do clear out this funding table. So we ask that you do complete this each time. As well as I mentioned, this PD&E status will be reset. So we just need to put something there. And then on the last page, some places you might look for are those matching fund sources. Maybe you want a grant and you want to make sure you highlight that. Maybe you have an updated LRTP and you want to have put a new link to it. You can either edit your existing one by hitting this button, and you could put in a new URL to your new tip, for instance, or you can add another document there. So those are the primary places you want to make those changes. And hopefully that's cuts down a lot of the work that you guys need to do. So with that, I believe those are the basic functions for the website. Do we have any other additional questions? Anything you want me to go back over? We're also available anytime. Like I mentioned, our contact information is on the front page, so we can help you as you are working through your applications. Great question. So the application period will close on March 29th. And in this instructions piece up here, it does have that for you as a reminder. But you do need to log in to see that. So March 29th. Any other questions? Hearing none, I will hand it back to Tom to go over the schedule and just finish up his presentation.
Right. So that question was a good segue into the last slide I have for our training today. There, the schedule moving forward. So today is the the second training session. So is our last training session that we do offer for the FPP. And following the conclusion of this, tomorrow morning, the portal will open and be available for application creation and submission. And as I mentioned before, those portal login passwords will be emailed out tomorrow morning by Mark Reichert. So you can expect an email going to your agency executive director and also any of the designated contacts that you have provided to us. And as Aaron just mentioned, the application portal will remain open for submissions until March 29th. So you have just over a month to get those applications created and into us. We do ask that you kind of try to start early on them and get them in to allow time for adequate review of all the different applications coming in. But that will be available to you till the 29th to submit any applications. Following the closure of the applications portal, we will then offload all the data and begin creation of the draft project list. We will get that prepared and ready for April 15th to send back to all the participating agencies that provided projects, so you can review the public-facing information that will be going out in the project list one more time to make sure it's accurate before we send it to the FDOT leadership and put it up for the endorsement at the MPOC meeting on April 25th. So on the 25th, we will come back with that draft project list, any revisions that you've given to us, and present it to the First to Freight and Rail Committee, later then to the staff directors and governing board committees for their endorsement. Then once we obtain that endorsement, we will finalize the list for send out to FDOT, and it will be sent out usually first, second week of May by the executive director, Mark Reichert. So he will send that off to the FDOT leadership team for us. So that concludes our presentation today. Do we have any final questions from anyone that we can help out with? All right. Well, not seeing any. So just to reiterate, me and Aaron are available anytime. So feel free to email us or call us if anything does come up. We will be happy to answer any of the questions that you guys do have. So we just want to thank you again for attending the training session today. As I mentioned, all the guidance documents will be put up on the portal tonight, and you will receive those passwords tomorrow so you can begin starting your applications. So thank you again for attending today, and have a great day.